situation, they don't represent victims, you know. When a mother's child get raped and the perpetrator get 3 years, they look forward to...
I'm tired of being a poor man. Yeah. So I done tell myself that this year I'm making $1 million. Now
I'm
I
sentencing
know how
to
you...
maybe 2-3 years when somebody like that probably should get life.
Tell the victims don't get justice.
The point is here, I understand that they don't have the empathy for the people. It's about their pockets. Because they don't represent victims, they represent criminals.
Of them in this country are involved in hanky-panky, and I have the list of their names to expose their dirty games. If you want the information, if it starts at 10,000, naked business, you can't go wrong. Just bring the money and come.
Sentencing rules. So whenever the victims, whenever the criminals commit their heinous crimes, they go to them and say, you know what? You're guilty, you can't get away, but guess what? I can work the system to reduce your crime from 15, or your sentence from 15 years down to 2. And then they get their $40,000 to $50,000 and they're happy.
I have the name of the preacher man who involved in prostitution, the owner of the gas station who has princess a keep woman, and the minister who left she husband and gone to live with woman.
These press releases and so on and trying to condemn me. They're defending their pockets. They don't have no empathy for the victims. They don't have empathy for the people. They're after money. It's the idea how lawyers are part of some noble profession. Some of them lawyers within the region are some of the most ignoble people you can find in the world. Yeah, to us, okay? And many are ignoble. The point I want to make here is that the judiciary is not beyond reproach. You have had rotten members of part of your judiciary. And if in a particular country, or let's say even here in Antigua and Barbuda, that we were to find ourselves in a situation in which you have a member of your bench who may be violating, giving poor judgments among other things, and throwing out cases willy-nilly, and you're undermining public safety, we must have some level of recourse. And if you consider that to be a threat, that's your problem. And you all sit down in your ivory towers and you all don't hear nothing. And when somebody like me decide to deal with it, I'll call you all an issue. I want to write letters and get upset and so on. But I can't do me nothing, so we can afford to speak.
So must reveal it. Yes. I have my own investigation, so I have everything firsthand. I have all the information. I know all the obvious man. If you want to hear it from me, make sure you have me money. Cause nigga business is my profession. Just bring the money and come. It's really for sale.
You are trespassing on the domain of the parliament. I want to ask the members of the judiciary, whose interest do you serve when you give these lenient sentences to criminals? Are you serving the interests of the public, or you're serving the interests of maybe the judiciary? Not the judiciary, of the legal fraternity. And you know, I am a supporter of transitioning to the Caribbean Court of Justice. We held a referendum here, and I did my best to support that transition. But I recognize that the people are not necessarily wrong, you know. The level of maturity in our judiciary is such that it has created an element of fear within the society. And they feel that the anonymity that they get out of the United Kingdom, the Privy Council, protects them. And I can't fault them. Now, I'm not saying... accept that we are probably not at the level of maturity to make that transition as yet. And when they talk about undermining the judiciary, you're undermining yourselves. First of all, you're undermining yourselves by not reining in these rogue elements that you have on the bench. You're undermining yourselves by treating the people with silent contempt. This is what we're going to do commencing next week.
The fans and the friends keep warning, fear they love to sue. Remember last year you had to back out and put a zip on your mouth. Yes, you can't go around spreading rumor and nasty propaganda.
Attorney General to cut the powers of the prison superintendent, and that going forward he will not have the opportunity to give any 1/3 rebates. That's done. 2, We're going to Parliament shortly to change the sentencing guidelines. What are the sentencing guidelines? The maximum terms. We're gonna increase the maximum term, and we're also gonna introduce minimum penalties.
For sale, Nelly for sale. Tell everyone you meet, I could spread them out like a sheet. I know the announcer at Crusader, who them say hook and ganja, and the DJ who went prison.
Minimum penalties in our laws. So we're gonna go to Parliament and make the changes, but the judiciary will be best advised as well to look at their sentencing rules and to make them fit for purpose. If we can't get no recourse and you have members violating, undermining our system to the extent that they're undermining public safety, and we can't get no recourse from the judiciary because they're in the ivory towers, they don't want to talk to us, they want to communicate with us, they don't want to do anything about the problems that we're facing, then I say that deportation is an option.
Nelly for sale. It's not fairy tale. I have plenty. Nelly for sale. Nelly for sale. Nelly for sale. Tell everyone you meet, I go spread them out like a sheet. I know the politicians.
Pulpit, as some people say, as the Prime Minister, to force changes in your sentencing rules. What's wrong with that? It is within my right so to do, and it is within your right to refuse or to accept that your sentencing rules require some level of reform. I'm not part of the legal fraternity, so that I'm looking for better, let's say, for any favors from any judge. And you know, when you all talk about independence, and you all have strong for politicians, you know, what will happen? What will happen from time to time, you know, like the opening of the law court and so on, they pass the snide remarks, about political interference. You know where the biggest problem is in terms of influence? Is the fraternal relationships that you all have within the legal profession. You all have special relationships, and sometimes judgments are given based on relationships.
Too boring, too boring, too boring. That's the cry of the audience. Yes, politics, politics, politics. They want something with a difference.
Rights for y'all. Okay, we know. Alright, so y'all don't behave as though y'all sanctimonious and holy and thou. And we have these problems that must be addressed in the public interest. Me say so. Very good to me. And I want to say to the members of the judiciary, the safety of our people takes precedence to your independence.
I'm calling you your worship and your honor and my lad.
Punch.
Person, I have all the information. I know all the of your man. If you want to hear it from me, make sure you have me money. Cause nigga business is my profession. Just bring the money and come. It's Nelly for sale. Nelly for sale. It's not fairy tale. I have plenty Nelly for sale.
You know, I call some of them, right? They're like a bunch of intellectual jack donkeys. And that's a euphemism for certain things. I said rattle the all, and is what I meant to do. If, for example, myself with those two letters, along with the one there, the press statement by Minister Turner, were done without the rattling of the judiciary, we would not be having a discussion today. You know how they do to us? They just silently ignore us. In fact, a form of silent contempt.
Sale, Nelly for sale. It's not fairy tale. I have plenty Nelly for sale. Nelly for sale. Nelly for sale. I took a page from Girl Crystal. She said, just bring the money and come.
Have utilized over the decades, mastered, totally contemptuous of the leadership of the Caribbean, contemptuous of its people, because they believe that they be beyond reproach. So any notion that the members of the judiciary believe that they are insulated from the other arms of government and that they're not accountable to the judiciary, that is not so. And you all need to come off your high horses. I mean, you're just ordinary people like us. You breathe the same air like us. You have two hands, one nose, one mouth, two eyes, unless you're a freak of nature.
Yes, me fans and me friends.